Seems like everybody's bearish, yet Bitcoin's price is over $65,000. Bitcoin's price continues to grind higher. There's a lot of reasons why this is happening. BNY Mellon has been cleared for Bitcoin custody and institutional crypto services. This is thanks to the SAB 121 bill. They are the first bank to receive SEC exemption, and BNY Mellon is actually the world's largest custodian bank and securities service company, with $2 trillion in assets under management and almost $50 trillion in assets under custody as of June 2024. BNY Mellon can now directly compete with Coinbase for ETF dominance. BNY Mellon's crypto custody move could disrupt Coinbase's ETF dominance. BNY Mellon's SEC approval strengthens its position in crypto custody. This is the kind of healthy competition I would love to see. The winner here will be early crypto adopters like us. At the same time, the spot ETFs have never looked better. Spot Bitcoin ETFs bought 17,000 Bitcoin this week when miners only created 2,250 Bitcoin this week. Demand is exceeding supply, and taking a look at net inflows, net Bitcoin ETF flows have literally never been higher. Ethereum. Yesterday's spot Ethereum ETFs saw 58 million in inflows. BlackRock's spot Ethereum ETF, in fact, surpassed 1 billion. BlackRock's spot Ethereum ETF surpassed 1 billion. BlackRock's head of digital assets says the world is shifting towards Bitcoin. He says that there's a lot of reasons BlackRock clients are interested in Bitcoin and crypto. Bitcoin is an asset without any country-specific risk or counterparty risk. Listen to how he sells Bitcoin to his clients.
How hard is the sell when you think about the retail investor base that can get into this? If you're trying to tell them it's digital gold, yet the volatility is still so high, and many people don't understand exactly what it is at the end of the day. Is it something that will eventually be used as more payment methods moving forward across different parts of the world? Is this something that you hold and never sell, right? How do you then make that case to a generation of people who have not gotten into this asset?
Sure. Well, when you think about Bitcoin, we think of it primarily as an emerging global monetary alternative, right? It is a scarce, global, decentralized, non-sovereign asset. And it is an asset which has no country-specific risk, has no traditional counterparty risk. So these are interesting properties when you think of it from an investment perspective, particularly in a world where there's growing concerns over money printing, currency debasement risks, political, fiscal, sustainability challenges in the U.S. or elsewhere. And so that resonates, frankly, with a lot of investors. It goes back to what we talked about earlier with the risk-on piece. It confuses investors when people talk about it as risk-on, because based on the properties that I just described, you would think of it as risk-off. And that's where I think
it has a marketing problem.
So you could say that. And so, the reality is there's probably 2 or 3 things a year that happen typically that actually impact the fundamental value of Bitcoin. This year, I would argue there's been 4. But that makes it hard to write daily stories, right? And so you see this instinct to kind of point to whatever's happening in equities or unemployment or jobs numbers or manufacturing, which really has no connection to Bitcoin.
So we're on the verge of a digital asset gold rush. The 1840s and 1850s marked the physical gold rush. The 2010s and 2020s will be seen as the digital asset gold rush, the crypto gold rush. Michael Saylor explains exactly this here.
At any point, would you sell? When would it make sense to take profits there?
Well, I've famously said I'm going to be buying the top forever. Bitcoin is the exit strategy. It is the strongest asset. So what we see right now is the Bitcoin has just emerged as a $1 trillion asset class, and it's alongside names like Apple and Google and Microsoft. But the difference between Bitcoin and the Magnificent Seven is Bitcoin's an asset class. It's not a company. There's not enough room in the capital structure of those companies to hold $10 trillion or $100 trillion worth of capital. So Bitcoin's competing against gold, which is 10x what it is right now. It's competing against the S&P index. It's competing against real estate, $100 trillion plus asset class as a store of value. So we believe capital is going to keep flowing from those asset classes into Bitcoin because Bitcoin is technically superior to those asset classes. And that being the case, there's just no reason to sell the winner to buy the losers.
And the fact is, it's not just Bitcoin anymore. Ethereum, Solana, they're killing it. Cardano just celebrated its 7th birthday. People and politicians alike are realizing that the US is falling behind, and if the US wants to be a part of this digital asset gold rush fully, the US needs to update their policies and rhetoric swiftly so we can be leaders in crypto. Senator Cynthia Lummis explains the issue the US is having here.
The European Union's ahead of us. They began to regulate very effectively in January of 2023. So we're behind the 8 ball here, and the United States should never let other countries get ahead of us with regard to financial services. Congress needs to regulate this and weigh in. You know, some of the problem has been that the SEC has said, well, we have all the tools we need to regulate it. But the way they've applied them has brought about court cases. Instead of regulating by making clear rules of the road for the industry, they're regulating by enforcement action. And so when they bring enforcement actions with penalties against the industry, and it doesn't have a clear understanding of what it's done wrong.
The default position is that there are bad actors.
Exactly.
There are, and he does, I've thought.
There were a lot of worse actors.
Well, when he's come on, he always seems to conflate some of the firms that are bad actors and maybe offshore, and they're dealing with the digital, but he conflates the digital assets themselves with the bad actors that are, kind of bucket shops that aren't even located here. But it's not the digital. That's like not liking, NASDAQ stocks because there used to be pink sheets all the time. So
you can commit fraud with yachts, with art, with coins, with minerals. It's not the asset itself that is fraudulent.
Do you think he's conflated the two? Don't you think he has?
In some instances, yes, I do. Yeah.
So we need a president who is pro-crypto. I think everybody in our audience agrees with this. Kamala, although she has seemed to update her rhetoric around crypto slightly recently, Trump for sure seems like he's much better on crypto. But you tell me, who do you think, based on everything you've seen, who do you think would be best for crypto? The founder of Cardano says that he believes Trump would be the best candidate for crypto, and he explains his reasoning here.
I think if one of the presidential candidates is launching DeFi projects, his family is directly involved, and he's speaking at cryptocurrency conferences, that one's probably going to be a little bit more pro-crypto than the one that put in Gary Gensler and has been on war with crypto for the last 4 years. So between Harris and Trump is certainly the favorite from a cryptocurrency perspective. But the reality is, regardless if the U.S. is pro-crypto or not, the world is moving on. Singapore has a lot of great things it's done, as has Hong Kong, as has the Middle East with Abu Dhabi and the ADGM, and Switzerland with FINMA. There's the MiCA regulations in the EU, the FCA, and UK is moving on. So the world, with or without America, is embracing cryptocurrencies. And as an American, it would be nice to see our country get back into the race and build things. But regardless if it is or not, it's not going to change the reality that the world will be decentralized.
This is the question. Is it an issue that Trump seems to be opportunistic, maybe even money grabs with the NFT Trump collectibles and launching the DeFi project? Is Trump using crypto in too much of an opportunistic way? Charles Hoskinson, what say you to that?
Is it a red flag that it appears that perhaps he's been opportunistic given his family's ventures into crypto?
I mean, every politician has some degree of opportunism. Nancy Pelosi's trades are a great example of that. And that's what we have just come to expect and see in the American political system and how these things run. And to be honest, the president doesn't make these decisions alone. It's a broad tent, and you have to build coalitions. And what's nice and encouraging is when you talk to people like Tim Scott or you talk to people like Senator Lummis or others, they're very open to fair regulation, and they're very open to engagement and dialogue. We haven't quite seen that yet with the Democrat Party, with the current leadership. That said, there's an age divide. So when you talk to younger people in the Democrat Party, like the Ro Khannas and others, they actually are willing to engage and talk about sensible regulations with cryptocurrencies. The older guards, like the Elizabeth Warren, the Joe Bidens, we're not quite there yet. So I think eventually there will be a convergence, and Trump is Trump. He's an anomaly, and eventually he'll no longer be in U.S. politics. The enduring things are, is this good for America? And I think it's better to have fair systems that are corruption-free, that also distribute power around instead of aggregating it to multi-trillion-dollar companies that prevent people from having control.
Look, guys, Bitcoin is pushing up on some resistance right now. If Bitcoin can break over $66,000, and in fact, maybe even get up to $70,000, maybe have a retest around 67, but if we can kind of clear this and clear $70,000, in my opinion, Bitcoin's next stop is grinding higher towards 80,000, 90,000, probably even 100,000 by Q1 of 2025. Anything can happen. We're going to keep you updated every step of the way. If we don't get past this resistance, I think Bitcoin could fall to as low as $53,000, probably not lower than $54,000. But at a certain point, I think Bitcoin does push up. Stay subscribed to Altcoin Daily. We keep you updated on a daily basis. See you tomorrow, my friends.